Welcome back to 876 United Hub, where we keep it real, no sugarcoating. So let's talk about the World Cup. Are you excited for this World Cup? Is the US the worst World Cup host? Will fans even be safe? And who will win the World Cup? Let's get into it. The World Cup begins today. And what can we expect? What can we expect from this? To be honest, I'm not sure what to expect. I'm not excited. And it's not because it's not the World Cup. It's because of all the controversy that surrounds the World Cup. Everything that happened in the past, this past week, and even more. And it's not because my country is not there, because we all have a second country that we support beside our own country of birth. And it was sad not to see Jamaica qualified, but it is what it is. And it would have been nice. But let's talk about the World Cup, hosted by Mexico, Canada, and the United States. There's a few things that I see that I'm not really liking. The ticketing structure, I don't know. And the way the reselling is going on. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to resell a ticket to make a profit. I mean, if you're running it like a business, then fine. But the ridiculous prices for those tickets, come on. It's not gonna it shouldn't happen. I think when it comes to pricing of ticket, each World Cup should be the same price. Or maybe depending on inflation, you add that percentage to each ticket. Or should I say each tier ticket? Say say for instance, the ticket prices was from say £160, £200, £300, £400, and say the maximum it was £1,000, depending on the tiers. And I'm not talking about those directors box and those what you call it hospitality suites. No, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the normal seats for a fan to go watch their country play the game we all love and support. I think adding inflation, if inflation is say 10% to those tickets, that should be fine. But when you're using a system where somebody's sitting next to another person, one might pay $300, the next one might pay $500, and the next person that's sitting beside them might pay $1,000. How do you justify that to the fans? And yes, you're saying that all the money that you make from the World Cup goes back to into supporting the countries. So if that's the case, why is there states in the US planning to charge fans upwards of $100 per journey on the train to go see a game? Why? Because if you're gonna invest back money from the World Cup, from what you made from the World Cup back into these countries, then you should the price of the ticket shouldn't be 10 times what it was on a normal day. Because if you look at it, when a person goes to another country as a guest, as a tourist, as a foreigner, and they take the local transport, they pay the same local fare. So why? Because it's the World Cup now, you're gonna charge $100. The next thing is this: is how are fans gonna get to the game? The financial cost that's the fans have to bear on these and this in this World Cup is too much. It's too much. And then you have the safety concerns because when you're gonna scrutinize or search football members and detain them in the way that the US is doing, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't ensure that their borders are safe. They should. They have a duty to their citizens and to their guests. They have a duty for that. But what it does, it makes me think: is there something that they know about or heard about that no one is saying or no one is talking about? That's one aspect of it. Does this war with the US, Iran, and Israel affect the safety of fans going to the World Cup? These are questions that we have to ask because it's only right. It's only right that we ask these questions. And I know a lot of people might come at me for it, but I feel it's needed to be asked. And then the stadiums in these countries already there. So how much are the expenses that they need to cover? I mean, they don't have to build new stadiums. They don't have to build new stadiums. So I'm trying to figure out what is the expense that these are the strain that's gonna impact these states because you guys have a high tax policy because when you go to the hotel you still have to pay tax on top of and other service charges on top of your room price when you book a room. You you must get money from that. The city must get money from that. So what strain are these people coming to put onto the system? I mean, if you're not prepared, as in preparing yourself, which you had enough time to do, then it will seem as if it's a strain on the infrastructure and the system. Who will win the World Cup? That's a good question. I will be supporting England, but Portugal looks good as well. There's also Spain. That looks good as well. Argentina is always there or thereabout. Brazil is always there and thereabout as well. I think it will be an interesting World Cup, to say the least, because we will see teams play in a way that they're not normally or not accustomed to play because of the heat. So you might find like South American, Central American, those teams probably play better than the European teams. And you might find that African teams as well might have a good game. So you might see a total different approach from what we will normally see in the World Cup. You might see a total different approach towards the strategy. You might just see a more reserved game in like the middle of the game. You might see there's more attacking flair in the first, like the beginning, the first 20 minutes of the game, and then they try to conserve energy, and then maybe the last 20 minutes, depending on how the game is going, then you might see another burst of excitement and flair in the game from a lot of the teams, or maybe a lot of the favorites. I think the weather itself is gonna play a big part in who win the World Cup. I think the weather will play a big part, and the distance that you have to travel for the game as well. I think that will play a big part because I mean the state. You might be based in one state and then you have to fly to play the game in another state, or it depends. Or some might opt for driving, so it all depends on how it is. But um, I'm not excited and I'm not disappointed. I'm more of an optimist to see, like, I'm just want to see what the outcome will be. I don't, I don't know. I think maybe the host countries might have a good a good first round of games results, and then further down, then we can decide. I'll after seeing a few games, then I'll decide. I'll be more informed. Can make a more informed decision on who I think will win. But what I do know is that a lot of players is gonna come out of this World Cup with their with a very inflated price tag. So this transfer market is gonna be one to watch because trust me, if you don't lock in the prices before, we all know after a World Cup what can happen. So let me know what you think about it. I mean, if you're excited, if you think that the US will be end up being a good host after the world after enter the end of the World Cup, if fans will be safe because of their ethnicity and their race, their religion, and who do you think will win the World Cup? And do the would that team sorry would that country deserve to win? That's another question. Will the weather play a significant role in who win the World Cup? That's it from me. Just let me know your thoughts. Let me know your in the comment section. Yeah. Thanks again for watching. I'm out.